Hi, everyone, I'm Dan Abrams, and this is Court Camp.
Ready to take your plea?
Yeah! I'll kill all you. I hope you die in prison as well.
First up, we head to the Milwaukee County Courthouse. The man on trial is 25-year-old Dwayne Cheney, who's charged with murder. 2 years earlier, Cheney allegedly shot Michael Prescott in front of the victim's girlfriend, who also used to date Cheney. Tomorrow, this same ex-girlfriend is scheduled to testify against Cheney. That's Cheney in the sweater vest outside the courtroom during a break in the trial. He knows within 24 hours the state's key witness is scheduled to appear. Cheney's allowed to walk freely inside the building because he has a GPS tracker attached to his ankle. Cheney had requested a speedy trial, but because the state could not accommodate, he was allowed to post a personal recognizance bond and be placed under house arrest, but required to wear the anklet. Multiple surveillance cameras record Cheney, who can be seen with his current girlfriend, Zuri London. After a few minutes, they go their separate ways. Now Cheney's speaking with his father, Frank Kiles. The two exit the hall, out of sight of the video cameras. About a minute later, London reappears. She makes her way down the hallway. She appears to talk on her cell phone. And then, she runs. She's on the move because Cheney has left the building and is trying to escape. He's removed his vest and casually walks with his father outside the courthouse. As Cheney and Kiles approach an intersection, the defendant looks back, perhaps hoping to spot London. There she is. Notice a van pull up. All three quickly get inside. And behind the wheel, Florgenia Cheney, the defendant's mother. Once inside, Cheney removes the GPS anklet and later tosses it out the window as he heads for freedom. Or so he thinks. The next day, Cheney's trial continues without him, and he's convicted of murder. 3 days later, Cheney's captured by U.S. Marshals less the charge of bail jumping. As for his attempted getaway team, Cheney's mother and father are both charged with bail jumping as parties to the crime, a felony offense, while London's charged with obstructing an officer, a misdemeanor. They all pled guilty and received 1 to 7 months in jail. And for the murder of Prescott, Cheney was sentenced to life in prison. Next, we're in Las Vegas, Nevada, for a pretrial video hearing. 65-year-old Thomas Randolph was previously found guilty of 2 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder for having a hitman kill his wife, and then killing the hitman himself to cover his tracks.
911 emergency.
Randolph then placed what investigators claim was a suspicious, pre-planned call to 911.
My wife's been shot and there's a guy in my house and I shot him.
Is he hurt too? Is he hurt too?
I hope she did.
Randolph would successfully appeal the case and get his conviction thrown out based on the state's mention of a piece of his criminal history that was ruled inadmissible. As a result of the Nevada Supreme Court's decision, he's now facing a second trial. As it approaches, Randolph has some issues to address during this pretrial hearing.
I have some problems. I've been trying to get with the lawyers, and they tell me that the prison will not let them visit me virtually, will not let them talk to me telephonically. That is what you guys told me, correct? It's my understanding you're the judge, you write the orders, they do what you tell them, not what they want to do.
After making what sounds like some reasonable requests, Randolph begins making some not-so-reasonable requests.
This is nonsense. I'm not going to put up with this much longer. So I'm asking if my lawyers file an order asking me to be transported to their office so that I can access the computer and go over the files because they have the files. you would certainly sign it, I would believe.
And that's going to be a hard pass for Judge Tierra Jones.
I'm not going to sign an order to transport you to your attorney's office because that's outside of my jurisdiction. That is up to the prison where you are transported. So you're incorrect, and I'm going to sign that.
This is nonsense. I want the hell out of here. It's getting old. So you have to step up and make these people do what they need to do. And lastly...
But before he can issue his next demand, the judge shuts him down.
And this is...
Mr. Randolph, you can't dictate when the lawyers are going to come visit you, okay? I can guarantee you that that's going to happen on July 10th. Because then if it doesn't happen, then we lie. Mr. Randolph, when I'm talking, you're not.
Later, when given another chance to speak, Randolph uses his airtime to boast about how he'll soon be walking away a free man.
I know what I know, and this case is over. And I know when these lawyers see what there is to see, they're going to file the appropriate motions, and they're going to ruin your day, and they're going to ruin the state's day, because then you are going to grant these motions that they file, and I'm going home. It's that simple.
Thomas Randolph did not go home. At the time this story was produced, he was in custody, waiting for his second murder trial to begin.
This man is probably one of the most dangerous men that I hope to ever encounter.
Next, we go to Muskegon, Michigan, for the sentencing of Jeffrey Willis. The 48-year-old was convicted of kidnapping and murder in the deaths of two women. 36-year-old Rebecca Bletch and 25-year-old Jessica Herringa were killed in the span of 15 months in Muskegon County. Police had no viable suspects until 2 years later, when Willis was arrested for abducting a 16-year-old girl who was lucky enough to escape and report him to authorities. When police searched Willis's home computer, they found images of both Rebecca and Jessica in a file called VIX. Willis was charged in the death of both women. He pleaded not guilty, but was ultimately convicted. At sentencing for the Bletch murder, Willis's attorney makes an unconventional request on behalf of his client.
We are hereby requesting that my client be allowed to leave these proceedings at this juncture. He has informed me that that is his desire.
Prosecutor DJ Hilson shares his feelings on Willis's request to avoid facing victim impact statements from the Bletch family.
It's unfortunate that he's choosing this cowardly way of doing it. You know, that being said, whatever the court decides, the court decides.
Judge William Marietti allows it. And with the victim's family voicing their disapproval, Willis leaves the courtroom. But as he steps through the door, watch as he blows a kiss in the direction of the Bletch family. A year later, Willis appears for the sentencing for the Herringa family, but this time the victim's family chooses not to attend, so he decides to stick around.
Then I'd like to say right here. I came here today with the intention to finally speak up and set the record straight.
Willis would then take the next 13 minutes to discuss a slew of topics, starting with the kiss, which he claimed was not intended for the Bletch family.
So I want to start by apologizing to the Bletch family. My blown kiss that was spitefully garbled by the press as a rebuke to the family was in fact meant as a message to the prosecutor, DJ Wilson. That message being that I'd figured out the truth and that he can kiss his future goodbye.
Willis then went on to accuse the Muskegon County Police of fabricating evidence and committing perjury before directing a fire at the jury.
Along with these 5 jurors who couldn't even stay awake long enough to listen. They were more concerned with placing the blame and seeing the salacious evidence that was put before them by unscrupulous news organizations. Clearly to all these members, these trials were just an exercise in feudalistic justice. Catch them, flog them, imprison them.
Finally, he segues into the U.S. Constitution.
The Constitution of the United States has in its preamble, we, the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, this promise, made over 225 years ago, remains unkept. I am innocent.
Since no members of the Haringa family are present, Judge Marietti offers the prosecutor the final word.
This man is probably one of the most dangerous men that I hope to ever encounter. He shows no remorse, no ounce of dignity or integrity. And it's clear that the justice system has the right place for him. That's behind bars for the rest of his natural life. We have successfully locked up an individual who, had he not been caught and captured, would have continued his killing in this particular community. So, with that, Judge, I'm going to sleep very well tonight, knowing that Mr. Wilson knows some light today. Thank you.
After the applause from the gallery subsided, the judge announced his sentence. Life in prison plus 18 years, with no chance of parole. Willis appealed the decisions in both cases, but his convictions were upheld. Next, we're in Las Vegas, Nevada, for a child visitation hearing. Parents Wealthy and Rogerio Silva have been divorced for 3 years and share custody of their 12-year-old daughter, who lives full-time with her mother. Rogerio claims he's not getting his court-ordered visitation time, and making matters worse, his ex-wife claims his daughter doesn't want to spend grievances of her own against her ex-husband.
He has not paid child support. It was November, December, and January that I did not get child support or alimony. Also, none of the medical or dental has been reimbursed, ever. Not one penny of that.
Child support, if there are arrearages, and medical, if there are arrearages, you need to file a schedule of arrearages and a motion, and I will hear it at the appropriate time.
Judge Rena Hughes seems ready to move past the issues unrelated to visitation, but Wealthy Silva isn't finished.
Medical and dental was filed. I remember, I believe it was 5 court dates ago, and I have submitted receipts, proper receipts.
Keep your comments to yourself.
The focus then shifts back to visitation, as the judge attempts to schedule a dinner date for father and daughter the following week.
February the 6th, that's week 1, dinner night. What time?
Rather than providing the judge an answer, Rogerio's lawyer instead has a complaint.
It's more than a week away from now.
I'm not taking argument right now. I have listened to this case ad infinitum. I am entering orders. I expect them to be followed. I'm trying to accommodate both parties. We're not going to do this on a whim and within 2 days he's going to have dinner with her. Mom's going to tell her it's going to happen and we're going to get prepared for it. Okay? What time?
Whatever's good for him. 5, 6.
What time? 6 p.m.
But after the time is set, the child's mother has some major concerns.
And when she refuses to go, what am I to do? Because this is really not good.
We'll be here on a motion to hold you in contempt.
Is she going to have to ride in a car with him?
Yes.
Wow. You really care about my child, don't you?
I want you to keep your mouth shut and sit down. I care about your child very much. You do not. Sit down and do not talk.
We need to have a trial.
There's no need for a trial.
Oh, there it is.
Finally, the tension-filled silence is broken by a threat from the judge.
If there is contempt, and if there is withholding of the child, we will have a trial. Do you understand me clearly? You will lose custody.
Two months later, following additional visitation issues, the parents are back in court, this time with their 12-year-old daughter. But after starting the hearing, Judge Hughes gives an unusual order, telling all the adults to leave the courtroom or switched off. 9 minutes later, with her father now back in the courtroom, Judge Hughes awards him temporary full custody, despite the child's wishes.
You don't understand. I love her. And I'm gonna miss her so much. Please don't do this to me.
I've made a decision for your best interest.
How do you know my best interest?
I'm a grown-up and you're a child.
When the girl continues to protest the decision,
Please. I don't want to be with him.
The judge threatens to send her to a children's shelter.
If you have any difficulties, we'll go to Child Haven. It's not fun. It's in Child Haven. In fact, they put you in a holding cell, just like it would be jail.
At the same time, the girl's mother is not allowed to re-enter the courtroom and is charged with contempt for allegedly withholding visitation. But this custody fight was far from over. Following the hearing, the girl's mother filed a complaint with the Nevada Commission on Judicial Discipline, alleging her and her daughter's civil rights were violated by Judge Hughes. In response, the commission ruled that Judge Hughes did, in fact, violate judicial code and due process by holding the mother in contempt and not allowing her to be heard during the hearing. She was also accused of awarding father custody as a punitive measure against the child's mother. The commission issued a public remand of Judge Hughes, but the penalty would later be dropped following a successful appeal in the Nevada Supreme Court. Ultimately, the parents were awarded joint physical custody of their daughter. Next, we go to Racine, Wisconsin for the sentencing of Ryan King. He pled no contest to first-degree reckless homicide and possession of a firearm by a felon in the shooting death of his former girlfriend, Lucinda White. According to White's sister, the couple had a volatile relationship lasting 20 years. As seen on this surveillance footage, King chased Lucinda around a car while she talked on the phone with her son. King fired a few shots, which grazed the victim, but he eventually caught up to her and shot her in the forehead. She was taken to the hospital, but died the next day. Police arrested King, still bloodied from the crime, the following night in Tennessee, but he claimed he didn't remember the shooting. The 49-year-old now appears before Judge Michael Piontek to learn his sentence. The maximum he can receive is 40 years in prison. Watching from the gallery is Lucinda White's son, Timmy James, who was on the phone with his mother the day she was killed.
Oh my God! Whoa!
After things calmed down, James is permitted to speak to the man who took his mother's life.
I'm so mad. I'm so hurt. My mama loved you to death. She even told you that while she was laying on the ground before you pulled that trigger.
When he was finished, the judge offers King an opportunity to make a statement.
I don't know who that person was. That's just not in my character, and I don't understand what happened.
While King and his attorney continue to claim he didn't recall the shooting, the judge is not about to take any chances.
What happens in the future? I mean, is he going to black out again and kill someone else?
With that, he sentences King to 40 years in prison for the homicide and 5 years for the weapons charge, which will run concurrently. That's it for this edition of Court Cam. I'm Dan Abrams. Thanks for watching.